From 1498 to 1761, over 250 years, just before the beginning of the Revolutionary War, the march to the Blue Ridge Mountains exemplified the forward progress of its settlers. Before the white man, the Blue Ridge Mountains was occupied by at least 9 major Indian nations, with each having their sovereign status and political systems and cultural identity. The areas designated on this map show the major Indian nations. Even though the Cherokee Nation is shown in a small red area on the map, its reach expanded most of North Carolina. When the first colonists arrived at Jamestown in 1607, they immediately met with Indian people on the eastern shore of Virginia. These Indians belonged to a vast Powhatan autocracy and spoke Algonquian languages. In the Piedmont and mountain regions of this area lived Siouan Indians of the Monacan and Manahoac tribes, arranged in a confederation ranging from the Roanoke River Valley to the Potomac River, and from the fall line at Richmond and Fredericksburg west through the Blue Ridge Mountains. Between 1607 and 1720, a series of encounters are recorded, and the Monacans gradually moved westward, away from the advancing settlers. From North Carolina, who had fought a disastrous war with the English and were decimated as a result, joined them. However, some of the Monacan people and smaller tribes stayed in Virginia, entrenched in their ancestral home in the mountains. White trappers, hunters, explorers, and settlers traveled over ancient trails the Indians had moved for centuries, for trading and for warfare. The Chesapeake branch of the Great Indian Warpath passed through the sites of present-day Abingdon, Glade Spring, Marion, Rural Retreat, Fort Chiswell, Draper, Ingalls or Pepper's Ferry, Salem, Roanoke, and so on all the way to Philadelphia. The Ohio branch passed through what is now Saltville, Virginia, to the New River, and thence down the New and Kanawha rivers to the Indian settlements in Ohio and western Pennsylvania. Tens of thousands used this road, beginning in colonial times and continuing long after. It carried more traffic than all the other early American roads put together. At the height of the French and Indian War, the Shawnee had a stronghold in the New River Valley. In July 1755, in an area near present-day Blacksburg, a band of Shawnees attacked a settlement and captured several residents, including Mary Draper Ingalls. She was held captive until October 1755. After 1769, when the Chickasaws defeated the Cherokees, Indian raids ended for 7 years, aiding in the conquest and settlement of southwest Virginia and Tennessee. Harassment finally ceased in 1794. As expansion to the Blue Ridge Mountains continued, settlers of Providence brought with them the spirit of future inhabitants. The first of these daring souls was General Abraham Wood in 1654 and Governor Spotswood in 1710. Abraham Wood, 1610 to 1682, sometimes referred to as General or Colonel Wood, was an English fur trader, militia officer, politician, and explorer of 17th-century colonial Virginia. Wood helped build and maintained Fort Henry at the Falls of the Appomattox in present-day Petersburg. He also served in the Virginia House of Burgesses and as a member of the Virginia Governor's Council. In 1654, his expedition was probably the first one to reach the New River. The commanding officers that led the Patriots were notorious in their own right. This list shows the commanding officers and the 8 Patriots, in red, that served under them. The chart shows the campaigns that the Patriots were engaged in. In addition to the soldiers, the Patriots that supplied the Virginia militia with goods and food are also included. The number of campaigns is indicative of the courageous Patriots that fought for our independence. The 20 campaigns listed above don't begin to cover the number of small skirmishes, especially along the western frontier, that all patriots endured. These included defending settlements against Indians, the British, and Loyalist sympathizers. The Patriots did their part to defend settlers against British incursions and suppressing loyal sympathizers from the Hudson Valley in New York to Kings Mountain. The Battle of Point Pleasant, also known as Lord Dunmore's War, took place before the Revolutionary War in 1774, yet many Patriots were part of the Virginia militia. This was 11 years after the French and Indian War, but far from the last campaign to defend the settlers against Indian raids. This battle was between the Virginia militia and Shawnee and Mingo warriors. Draper's Meadow Massacre in 1755 also took place before the Revolutionary War. An early tragedy during the French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, where several settlers, including Draper's relatives, were killed or taken captive by Native American raiders. One relative, Mary Draper Ingalls, was among those captured and later made a harrowing escape and returned home. You might be familiar about her story from the book Follow the River by James Alexander Thom. West Point, on the Hudson River, was a strategic place during the Revolutionary War. General George Washington often used it as his campaign headquarters. The region was a hotbed of patriot activity, and local militias played a crucial role in defending against British incursions and suppressing Loyalist sympathizers. Militia companies from Dutchess County were often called upon to support the Continental Army and participate in campaigns in the Hudson Highlands and surrounding areas. The Battle of the Brandywine Creek on September 11, 1777, marked the apparent end of a long period of frustration for the British in North America. Of the 6 battles that were part of the Philadelphia campaign, the British won 4 engagements. Washington's troops failed to prevent the British takeover of the American seat of government in Philadelphia. They captured the city in September 1777 and held it until June 1778, marking a roughly 9-month occupation period. Engagements all along the Western Front were fought by various Virginia militia. From Indian raids and securing the Virginia frontier during the war fell upon the militia. While not always in the spotlight of grand military campaigns, these frontier militias were vital in maintaining stability and defending against external threats. Militia units often lacked proper weapons, ammunition, and supplies. Fortunately, there were many patriots that helped supply the militia. In addition to beef and other food staples, women, though often overlooked in traditional military narratives, played indispensable roles in sustaining militias and ensuring the war effort succeeded. Horsetack, leather goods, and medical supplies were all made available to the militia. Women were unsung heroes of the Revolutionary War, providing essential support through supplies, labor, and resource management. Their contributions underscore the critical role of women on the home front, ensuring that militias and Continental forces could continue their fight for independence. As part of the southern reaches of battles fought by the Patriots, the Battle of Kings Mountain in 1780. The battle was fought between American militiamen from Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, and American Loyalists. The American victory was a major setback for Britain's southern strategy. It is often referred to as the turning point of the American Revolution. It raised patriot morale and inspired the Americans to continue fighting. Adopting a tactic utilized by Daniel Morgan at the Battle of Cowpens, General Nathanael Greene formed his roughly 4,500 men into 3 lines. The first line was held by North Carolina militia. In the second line, Greene positioned militia from Virginia. Continental regulars composed Greene's third and most formidable line. The concept, known as a defense in depth, was for the first 2 lines to exhaust the enemy's advance and inflict as many casualties as possible in the hopes of delivering a decisive blow at the third line. The Virginians put up a stiff fight, but were forced to retreat. Despite besting the American army, Cornwallis had lost 25% of his men and was in no position to pursue Greene. The Siege of Yorktown was a military operation that took place in Yorktown, Virginia from September 28th to October 19th, 1781. It was the final major battle of the American Revolutionary War. Victory at Yorktown led directly to the peace negotiations that ended the war in 1783 and gave America its independence. It takes more than soldiers to win a war. Patriots from these mountains, consisting of soldiers, merchants, and suppliers, men and women, all did their part in our quest for freedom. A short bio of each of these patriots follows. James Anderson resided in Cumberland County during the war and died in Franklin County, Virginia. He provided equipment and supplies and raised corn for the troops. James Kennedy resided in Henry County during the Revolutionary War and died in Franklin County, Virginia. He served as a private under Captain Wallace and Colonel Whedon. Private Joseph Cole resided in Frederick County and later Montgomery County during the war. However, he died in Buncombe County, North Carolina. He served under Captains Wilson and Joshua Martin and Colonel Charles Lynch in the Virginia militia. Hammond Critz resided in Henry County during the war and died in Patrick County, Virginia. He achieved the rank of captain in the Virginia militia. John Draper resided in Montgomery County during the war and died in Wythe County, Virginia. He achieved the rank of captain. Isaac Edwards resided in Montgomery County during the war and died in Grayson County, Virginia. He achieved the rank of captain. Henry Grubb resided in Montgomery County and supplied beef to Montgomery County, Virginia militia. Private Asa Hall and Jesse Hall brothers resided in Dutchess County, New York, and later Montgomery County during the war. Asa died in Montgomery County, Virginia. He served under Captain Pierce's and Captain Paulding's companies. Private Jesse Hall, along with his brother, Asa, resided in Dutchess County, New York, and buried in Montgomery County, Virginia. He served under Captains Pierce's, Johnston, Veal, and Colonels Richmore, Morehouse, and Gauncey. Violet Linus Hill is the only woman listed as a patriot. She resided in Henry County during the war and died in Franklin County, Virginia. She provided equipment and supplies to the Henry County, Virginia militia. Private John Lester resided in Montgomery County during the war and died there. He served under Captain Daniel Triggs of the Montgomery County, Virginia militia. John Lucas resided in Montgomery County during the war and died in Montgomery County, Virginia. He achieved the rank of captain under Colonel William Preston and Lieutenant Colonel Walter Crockett. John McAlexander resided in Amherst County and served as a Minuteman under Captain Nicholas Cabell of the Amherst County, Virginia militia. William McAlexander resided in Henry County during the war and died in Patrick County, Virginia. He furnished supplies to the Henry County, Virginia militia. Jeremiah Pate resided in Montgomery County during the war and died in Montgomery County, Virginia. He served under Captains John Tyler and Daniel Trigg and Colonel Preston in the Virginia militia. Jacob Prilliman resided in Henry County during the war and died in Franklin County, Virginia. He furnished equipment and supplies to the Henry County, Virginia militia. James Richardson resided in Botetourt or Montgomery County during the war and died in Franklin County, Virginia. He served in the Virginia Volunteers under Colonel William Christian, engaging in the Cherokee Expedition, also known as Christie's Campaign. Archibald Skaggs resided in Montgomery County during the war and died in Adair County, Kentucky. He served under Captains John Taylor, Daniel Trigg under Colonel Preston in the Virginia militia. Charles Thomas resided in Henry County during the war and died in Patrick County, Virginia. He signed the Oath of Allegiance. To the patriots that served from these mountains during the American Revolutionary War, we thank you for your dedication, service, and sacrifices.